Under the previous order, the leadership time is reserved. Under the previous order, there will now be a period of morning business for 1 hour, with the senators permitted to speak up for 10 minutes each, with the time equally divided and controlled between 2 leaders or their designees, with the majority controlling the first half of the Republicans controlling the final half.
Madam President.
Senator from New Jersey.
Madam President, this February, Congress passed and the President signed a historic recovery package setting the stage for the creation of 3.5 million jobs and making critical investments to strengthen the 21st century economy. Now, we all agree that that legislation hasn't ended the most serious economic crisis since the Great Depression. Americans know what this administration inherited and the time it will take to get out of it. Hundreds of thousands of Americans continue to lose their jobs every month. Quality health care is still far from affordable for far too many. And we still have a dangerous dependence on foreign oil that threatens our safety, our wallets, and our planet at the same time. But the optimism we feel is real. Quick action on our part has contributed to bringing the economy back from the brink of absolute collapse. There are green shoots in this economy, and the Recovery Act has fertilized them. It's cut taxes for working Americans. It's made education more affordable. It has jump-started urgent investments that will make our commutes faster and our air cleaner. Investments like repairing crumbling bridges and highways and building light rail and high-speed transit. Investments that will pay off over the course of generations. Hundreds of thousands of Americans who are going to work this morning because of the Recovery Act can tell us in no uncertain terms the legislation is working. It's creating jobs, making responsible investments, helping workers damaged by this crisis. But in the face of these tremendous efforts, some are questioning the effectiveness of these investments. They've decided to attack the entire recovery process by jumping to conclusions, distorting the facts, and spreading outright falsehoods. George Bush-style ideology that created this crisis in the first place. Now, there have been some who have commissioned their own report, a report which picked a conclusion first and then attempted to seek out facts later. The old saying goes, if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. Well, that's the case here. The radical conservative ideology that led to this report is like a steam hammer, that it's bashing away at the foundation of economic growth that we're trying to build. Now, I noticed this report didn't mention any projects from my home state of New Jersey, and I guess because the conclusion they wanted to draw was failure, that would make sense not to include projects in New Jersey, because, in fact, if you look at the issue of how New Jersey is handling this among many other states in the nation, you would have to take issue with the thousands of New Jerseyans who will owe their jobs to this act. It would have to take issue with an immediate tax cut for the average working family of up to $800, money that helped New Jerseyans pay their bills and support their families. Or for over 1.5 million New Jerseyans who avoided the alternative minimum tax as a result of that law as well. More money in their pockets, less money going to the government. It would have to take issue with the college students and parents of college students in New Jersey who are finding their term bills just a little easier to pay because of the increased Pell Grants in the Recovery Act. And in addition to higher education, it would have to take issue with all the ways public elementary and secondary schools are being improved, with $957 million in funding that they wouldn't otherwise have for critical needs ranging from up-to-date textbooks to better technology in the classroom. It would have to take on all the teachers, police, and firefighters who have been able to keep their jobs, and the individuals with disabilities who are now getting the support they need at school, made possible by the Recovery Act. The Recovery Act was intended to create jobs fast, pump money into the economy quickly. How well it had done that in New Jersey? Well, I saw firsthand how the funding created 250 construction and engineering jobs, improving Route 46 in Lodi. It's a project that's going to reduce traffic congestion, cut down on the time it takes to commute, make it easier to do business, protect the roadway against flooding so parents can feel just a little safer as they drive their kids in heavy rain. I saw firsthand, though, the Recovery Act finally let us break ground on the mass transit tunnel under the Hudson River that will ultimately create 6,000 jobs for several years, and at the end of the day, when that project is finished, over 50,000 permanent jobs. I met children who will be the future riders of that train and whose parents and neighbors are employed in its design, planning, and construction as we speak. And in terms of infrastructure, you can see these results statewide. The Recovery Act required our state's Department of Transportation to get enough projects ready for bidding so that 50% of that funding could be set aside within 120 days to get people to work. Well, New Jersey met that requirement and plans to allocate the funding for all of its projects by the end of this month. So, Madam President, the Recovery Act has been a lifeline for New Jersey, and for that fact, for millions of people across the country. Now, I couldn't agree more that accountability is crucial. We understand that every dollar in the Recovery Act belongs to the American taxpayer. They deserve assurances that their money is being invested wisely. We have to ensure unprecedented transparency, oversight, and accountability so Americans can see not only how their money is being spent, but also the results of their investments. And that's why this act is being personally overseen by the Vice President of the United States. And it's why the act provides for so much transparency, like a website with all the information about it readily available to the public. And ironically, the fact that there's so much transparency is the reason an individual senator can issue a report about it at all, and it's the reason we can figure out so easily that many of the assertions in that report are wrong. Accountability means making sure our investments are smart and making corrections as need be. What accountability doesn't mean is attacking the jobs that hardworking men and women are doing that the legislation made possible, because your ideology doesn't square with the facts. That's not accounting. That's undermining. Frankly, after 8 years of undermining, the American people are ready to build up this country again. And with the Recovery Act, with health care reform, so not only those nearly 50 million Americans who have no health care coverage in the greatest land in all of the world, but at the same time, millions more who are one paycheck away from losing it, and so many who have health insurance but have told me that, in fact, after listening to their insurance company and following all the rules, they still get denied for claims that, in fact, of coverage they really need. That's part of the reform we seek. And with additional steps to make us energy independent, we're going to, in essence, rebuild this country again. That's the process of saying yes to America, not no to America. With that, Madam President, I yield the floor. Madam President, I observe the absence of a quorum.
Call the roll.
Mr. Akaka.